Time constraints during an emergency could force you to deviate from your route without a clearance. Diversion contingencies have been established for loss of aircraft performance, pressurization failure, hazardous weather, or loss of navigation capability. In this topic, we'll cover some useful guidelines for making the necessary route and altitude deviations. Whenever possible, try to obtain an ATC clearance prior to deviating from your route or altitude. If prior clearance cannot be obtained, then broadcast your position and intentions to other aircraft. Turn on all exterior lights and watch for traffic. Next, we'll discuss 3 contingency examples. These are based on whether or not the airplane is able to maintain its cleared flight level and if you need to divert across the flow of traffic. Remember, all possible contingencies cannot be planned for, so these procedures are for guidance only. Consult the references for your airspace for possible differences. In this first example, let's examine a contingency where the airplane is able to maintain its assigned flight level. This diversion might be due to hazardous weather or loss of navigational or separation performance. The initial action, when unable to receive or accept an ATC clearance, is to leave the assigned airway or track by turning 90 degrees to the left or right whenever possible. Subsequent action should be to acquire and maintain a laterally offset track to your original route. A lateral offset of 15 nautical miles in Nat Airspace Airways will place you away from normal traffic areas. If you're flying a published airway in the Pacific, a 25 nautical mile offset will place you between adjacent airways. The next subsequent action is to climb or descend to an altitude that is offset from normal traffic use. If within RVSM airspace, your altitude change would be 500 feet. If outside RVSM airspace, climb or descend 1,000 feet. The exception to this is if you are flying at the boundary altitudes for RVSM airspace. For example, if deviating from flight level 410, a 1,000-foot climb or 500-foot descent would be appropriate. Likewise, the reverse is true if deviating from the lowest RVSM altitude. The next example is when the airplane is unable to maintain its assigned flight level. This diversion might be due to loss of aircraft performance or pressurization failure. Your initial action should be to minimize the descent rate to avoid possible traffic below you. Next, make a 90-degree turn while descending. Plan to intercept an offset from your original course as described earlier. When conditions allow, maintain an appropriate offset altitude. In this last example, we'll look at a diversion that takes you across prevailing traffic to your alternate airport. Your initial action should be to first turn in the direction of your alternate and acquire the proper route offset. Next, make a climb or descent to take you away from high traffic altitudes. Finally, proceed to your alternate airport.